Hey everyone, Pastor George here, and today for our mailbag, I was sent in these two videos. They're actually links to a page on Twitter of this Baptist guy preaching. And again, like as I said earlier, like you guys can send me videos. This was a while ago, and I'll react to them. And I try not to watch them before I look at them, so I can get just. Uh, my blank reactions. Yeah, I've done this once or twice before, I believe. Um, and uh, and yeah, so if you want to send videos, you can. Just like it has to be appropriate for YouTube slash like mostly children or whatever. So well, let's hope there's not any cursing, I guess. And these anyway. I don't know anything about this. I just besides that like it's a Baptist church somewhere in the United States. And I just want to say, like, I don't go into this like trying to, make fun of other preachers or whatever, because I don't know, my clips of me doing terrible are probably on the internet somewhere. But I think it's more interesting just to look at it and also remind you guys how lucky you are to have me. But well, let's see what this guy has to say, shall we? Let's look at it.
We're not serious about our finances anymore. We ought to get serious about our finances. It's a sad day that, listen to me, it's a sad day when the church dies because people don't tithe.
You gotta love tithing sermons, right? Yeah, these are great. Hopefully he really nails them.
But yet it doesn't seem like they're losing any weight.
Yeah, call people fat. Love it. Hey, I mean, that applies to me, right? I'm all about tithing and giving or whatever, but you don't see me losing any weight. I eat pretty well for myself.
They're eating just fine.
Yeah.
But God's church is whittling away and starving to death because the bills can't get paid. You know, I've always said this, the church's obligation is to pay the pastor first, pay the bills second. Without a pastor, you have no church.
All right. Well, I kind of like ironically want to agree with that. That's not true. At least, I mean, maybe, if this is probably like a Baptist church, then it's independent. So I guess it's a sense in that it's true in that way, but that's actually doesn't seem to be the case either scripturally or it's certainly not in the Presbyterian church, right? What makes the church is the leadership of it. So the elders, right, who are supposed to be capable of preaching and teaching basically in our denomination and many other Presbyterian denominations, and I think most denominations in general, there's this idea that the pastor is basically someone who is set aside and compensated for doing the teaching and the preaching because they go through special training and have a call and a vocation to do that. But that's actually not how for me, I would agree, but it has to be like leadership. So, it could just be unpaid elders who are the leaders of the church and preach and teach. I mean, that's how lots of churches do it. I mean, I know that's how our church did it for a little while when we were in between pastors. So, that's actually really what it is. You do need people in charge, definitely, to shepherd the people, but you don't need a pastor necessarily to do that. No, that's kind of interesting.
It's that simple.
Hopefully they stop beeping.
If you do not have a shepherd, there isn't a flock. There's scattered sheep. So I've always said, the world doesn't like this, but you pay your preacher first. If there's anything left over, then you can turn the lights on. But I can preach in the dark. I don't need the microphones. We don't need the technology. We can let a riptator chip. We can preach outside if we have to. We've got a tent. Are you listening? Don't crack your knuckles. Are you listening? I can preach the Bible and don't need all this foo-foo. Foo-foo is what you put in your coffee. Foo-foo. This is all foo-foo. This is fluff. Real men drink it black. Ray Smith. Right.
Well, so I actually don't think he's necessarily wrong about that last part there where he says, I don't need any of this stuff. And it's true. Like a lot of this stuff is benefits that we have. And sometimes it's best when you make things simpler, right? It reminds people of what's really important. So I think that's actually a pretty good point. I think the delivery is kind of where it's in because he kind of insults insults the congregation a little bit there, calls them fat, yells at someone for cracking their knuckles. But hey, we've all been there. We've all struggled. So let me get this other video up, and then we're gonna see what he has to say next.
Prepare. I wonder how often you stop to think, I'm fixing to see my pastor. I wonder if I prepare.
Yeah, how often do you guys think you're going to see your pastor? Do you guys prepare for worship? You should.
I know this is very selfish and self-serving. I understand, and dealing with that in your mind. That's why I got to keep reminding you. I understand that. But you do understand that is your responsibility.
I will say, like, preaching this, like, he's better than me, certainly. Like, the way he uses pauses and the eye contact. Now that could just be because he's really upset, and maybe this isn't part of his sermon at all. I don't know. Maybe this is him just going hog wild or something like that. But yeah, this is definitely like, yeah, he's definitely better than me when it comes to style for sure. And so I guess here, like, this sermon's about, preparing yourself for church or something. I'm not quite sure.
You're saying, Pastor, you're acting like I can't have any problems. Don't you understand? Your problems will be taken care of. God's not going to make it so you can't be cared for. Your pastor's not going to. But if pastor's not having to deal with your sorry, stinking face during the preaching, look.
Man, this reminds me of that one story I told where I was up front and the pastors at that church told me, it's us versus them. This is big, like, us versus them energy going on. There's a lot of unresolved conflict. Someone said something probably about his sermon, and he's going after him.
Like you're so freaking convicted. Some of you, I'm looking at you, I'm preaching, I'm going, man, I honestly am not refreshed by your face.
That's me on every Sunday, guys. Every time I look out into the congregation, I'm not refreshed by your guys' faces. You guys you guys are there for me. Okay? That's what you guys forget. You guys are there for me so I can have a good time while I'm up there preaching. And I look at you guys, and if you guys, you look sorry, you're looking like your sorry, stinking face, as he says so eloquently here, that's just not very refreshing for me, and that's what church is about.
What I'm seeing here is conviction. What I'm seeing here is, man, I can't, almost a conviction, like not just conviction, it's almost like bitterness. Like you're not giving me the right to have a bad day.
I feel like that's a good thing. I feel like people should be convicted. Yeah, well, I guess all I would say about this is that I think what's at the heart here, again, not knowing the situation, not knowing the church, not knowing whatever, knowing that I have embarrassing stuff too, whatever, is that I feel like there's a lot of conflict between the pastor and the congregation. And both of these probably are two different sermons. I think he was wearing a different tie in both, so two different Sundays. But, there seems to be a lot of animosity, and you don't really want that between, and that's, takes two to tango, right? So it's not like just the pastor is probably not making people upset or whatever, but it's also probably the other way. Or maybe this is just the culture of the church. Maybe people like the pastor being really harsh to them or something like that. I don't know, but probably not the best fruits, especially because we're called to live in peace with each other. So I don't know, but yeah, wow. Thanks for the person who sent this in. Gave me a lot to think about. Maybe I should use this on Sunday's sermon. So we'll see. All right, you guys have a wonderful rest of your Thursday. I'll see you on Sunday. Peace out.